During our time in Tikapur, we worked with the Khmer people.
We were first introduced to the Khmer last year. Now the Khmer people group have recently been emancipated from forced slavery.
They live in little tiny villages. They're really poor and they have to work really hard to survive.
So something that we have found is that it's always the poor neighbourhoods and communities and villages that are at most risk of being trafficked. For years they have been working as forced labour. The word for slave in Nepali is Khmer, and it was taken from that people group. Their entire identity is built around the idea that they were slaves.
So the Khmer people were just freed around 10 years ago, and they're working on getting back on their feet, and they're in a lot of refugee camps, and they're in really poor conditions. So we were really excited to be able to go there and bring them hope and bring them joy.
In Nepal, especially in Western Nepal, the winters are very harsh. It isn't unusual to have women and children and families that die because they don't have adequate warmth. They can set fires in their homes during the day which keep them warm, but at night they have no way to keep warm. So what we did is we wanted to give them this gift of warmth, this gift of life. So we bought them these blankets. The blankets are bigger than US blankets. They're more like mattresses to us. But the whole family sleeps underneath them, and they're able to keep warm during the winter.
Passing out blankets to the people was really amazing to me that we got to do, because it was such a small thing for us to do. It was so easy to get the money together and give them the blankets, but they were, their lives were being saved, all the children and the fathers and mothers, and keeping the families together. And it was really special to me.
One day after working with one of the Khmer schools, we were headed back to the house, and we stopped at a fork in the road because we had to wait for some time.
Then all these Nepalis gathered around us just because I guess we were a group of white people, foreigners in large numbers, and they're just watching.
We saw it as an opportunity to do some street evangelism. So we thought, yeah, why not? This is what we're here for.
And I remember one of our team members, Nikolai, shared his testimony about how God transformed his heart and made him become a really radical lover of Jesus.
After a while, we asked him, does anybody here need prayer for anything? A man walked up to us and said, can you pray for my wife? And we're like, yeah, sure, what can we pray for her for? And he said, she's been paralyzed on the right half of her body for 7 years.
So me, Damien, and a few other people from our team and from the national team decided to go over to his house, and there's this woman there with this blanket over her.
Then the man brought us around and said, like, all these people are going to pray for you. She said it. And she said just one word this way. And she was looking at her husband. She said one word this way and looked at the lady there. And we're like, what is she saying? And all she said was husband and sister. And the husband smiled. And he told us, he said, she hasn't spoke for 7 years.
So God sends us halfway across the world to this family that we're only going to see one time. But God was there before we were there, and he's going to be there after we're there. And God loves them so much that he wants them to get saved, and that he just wanted to heal them that day.
So one night we went to a house church, and there were a lot of people just crowding there. They just came up one by one, like so fast, because they were so excited to see us there.
And they just kept on coming, by family, by just single people just seeing us. They're like, what are these people doing? Where are they going? And they just started to follow us. So we ended up going to this house church, and we ended up bringing this whole crowd with us.
And as we sit in the front yard and just worship, like a lot of people come, we share the gospel, and afterwards 10 people got saved, and they received Jesus into their lives, and we just pray for them and we love them. And it was so awesome to see how hungry people are, not only in Nepal, but everywhere we go.
When I found out that 10 people got saved, I was so surprised, and I was so amazed that like people who have such hard lifestyles and who suffer and they're like just burdened so much, they're so excited to feel God's joy and his love, and they want him more. It was just amazing.